For those of you that may be thinking that the governor is just hopping on a trend, I can provide evidence that that is not the case. I started this journey with then Lieutenant Governor when he got a group of people together in a brown bag session in his office downtown and said, hey, let's talk about broadband. And he started this thing called the Broadband Deployment Council. And at that time, again, he was Lieutenant Governor, so he had some time available to talk about these kinds of things. And and so without any bullying, he got a few folks to come together, and with his able technology assistant, Ryan Croak, we used to come down and meet and talk about this all the time. And he was quite passionate and quite serious. And you know what? Those seeds that he planted then bear dividends today. Because when the president put out the stimulus program for broadband adoption, Illinois was ready. Illinois was ready because of the leadership and vision that the governor showed, and that some of our communities had already started down the road of talking about how broadband can make a difference in the lives of their residents and citizens. Southern Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, Northern Illinois. We have folks here from Northern today who did work over all of this state, helping communities think about how broadband could be leveraged for economic opportunity. And then as we started to create these institutions to take advantage, and the governor became governor, and he moved to make some resources available, and the Illinois program to put that money aside had a great thing to do with Illinois becoming second only to California in securing stimulus dollars for broadband programs. Close to $350 million, I think we've been fortunate to get in the state of Illinois. That's gone to programs in each part of this state. And so this organization called the Broadband Deployment Council was organized a little more fully. I was delighted to have an opportunity to serve on that organization, and the governor also asked me to be a part of something called the Partnership for Connected Illinois, or Broadband Illinois, which oversees these stimulus dollars in all aspects of the state. And I'm proud to say that this has been an unparalleled success. We see activity, again, in all parts of the state, building out fiber networks, connecting anchor institutions, connecting schools and libraries. And then we come to Chicago, where some people say, well, you guys in Chicago have everything already. There's no need to talk about this in the city of Chicago. But then a guy named Shaz Razul said, you know, I need to have a cup of coffee with you and tell you, you ever heard of this thing called Gig U? And I got together with him, and he's one of these unsung heroes who really believed that this was possible. And I know I probably shouldn't mention his name, but I'm glad I did, because he sat me down and said, you need to know about this thing called Gig U. It's real, it's an opportunity, but we need community people to believe in this vision and to pick up the charge. So he didn't have to tell Pierre Clark twice. That was all he needed, and he and Laura really did the yeoman's work week in and week out, day in and day out. And the reason we're in this room today is because community actually believed that this day was possible, that this would actually come. So this isn't about top down. And again, the governor always says, nobody in. I mean, everybody in, nobody left out. He always says, let's get everybody. Well, I'm not as good as he is. That's his line. I can't steal his line. But, you know, another thing that this is about is I've been producing a public television show in Chicago for 13 years. It's a public TV show on cable access, and it's talking about technology from the community perspective. And a couple of years ago, I put the word out that I want to do a story about technology in our high schools. And at that time, there was a networking academy program going on. And I said, look, I want to try to find somebody who can speak about this. And I put the word out. And the only students that I could get, a teacher said, I'm going to bring 2 of my students. And she was from Hyde Park Academy. And she brought 2 of her students. They were both young ladies. And they both were participating in this Networking Academy program. And so I came down and I interviewed them. And that summer, they had worked side by side with network engineers, helping to install routers and switches, refurbishing our Chicago public schools. And so these young ladies were so proud and so excited of the work that they were actually doing. And they were telling me about configuring routers and configuring switches. And I said, well, what do you plan on doing with this skill? And they looked at me with shock and amazement and said, well, I'm going to be a Cisco certified engineer. And I said, oh, really? Oh, yes, after I become that certified, you know, I can make 6-figure income, and I'm going to be doing this very soon. And so, you know, I want to look back and find those young ladies, because that was about 4 or 5 years ago. And so they should be ready to be part of the installation team for this Gigabit program here in Chicago. And that's what this program is all about. It's about opportunity, it's about jobs, it's about economics, but it's about our future. When I was a student down the street in high school at this place called the Lab School, we didn't have computers. I was just like the young lady said, going to card catalogs and all this kind of stuff. But today, our young people, Laura's children, are probably growing up and probably know more about iPads and iPhones. Their entire life, these technologies will have been around. But this announcement today is really making possible a brighter future from the ground up, bottom up, from our community up. And the great ideas and the great passion that our community shows for technology will be proven out by the success of this program. And the last name that I will mention is a name that I have a great deal of respect for, and that's Professor Don York. A long time ago, when public schools were not connected to the internet, Professor York found a way to sneak some money off the table and make it possible so that DuSable High School could be connected to the internet. And I believe that was the first school to actually be connected to the internet here in Chicago. But it was because of the vision of Don York that went around and connected a number of schools very quietly, but did some great work, and students and interns went into the community and worked with those students and established a lot of leadership and vision. And I remember a young man from DuSable High School that had created a website. And I said, what do you know about a website? And he said, well, I created a website for this guy I really love. And I said, oh, yeah, who is that? He says, a guy named Tupac. And I said, well, I never heard of him. And he said, well, guess what? I created this website, and, you know, I got an email from New Zealand. I don't even know where New Zealand is, and somebody sent me an email. And I said, man, that's great. And so that's the kind of eye-opening activity that our young people with vision and passion and this kind of program represents, so the kind of legendary work that Don York did can continue. And, Governor, I just want to thank you for making this day possible.